There are some new reactions and details from an early test screening of The Batman 2022, and while I won't be going too deep into the bigger spoiler surrounding the teasers for a second film, I will be discussing the things from a review side of things to give us an idea of what people thought about the film in the new screening. Take this information with a grain of salt, but it was seemingly confirmed by credible leakers who had already stated that a test screening took place before some of these details started coming out. In this video, I'm going to be discussing these reactions, presenting my own thoughts towards them, and giving us some added excitement to an already much anticipated film. Before I get into it though, if you want to see much more videos on The Batman leading up to its release date, including a new series that I'm announcing for the film next week, then don't forget to support this video by giving it a like rating, subscribing to the channel, and turning on your notifications. Also, feel free to check me out on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and Instagram at Cortex Videos, which is all linked in the description below. But without further ado, let's discuss the newest details from the test screening of Matt Reeves' film, The Batman. So, according to some viewers who have already seen The Batman at a test screening on the Warner Brothers lot, the film is supposed to be really good. There have been leakers like Big Screen Leaks who have confirmed this screening took place, and others have posted info on what some attendees have said, including there being a focus on brutal action scenes and great performances across the board. Now, the reason I said to take these with a grain of salt is because most of the social media posts that made this trend last night were only saying what other people had apparently posted. But of course, with a source like Big Screen Leaks confirming it took place, it makes the information that I'm going to present much more credible. Plus, it falls in line with previous news and test screenings, so I think it's much more likely to be true. The viewers claim that there is an appearance of a well-known character in The Batman, played by the rumoured Barry Keoghan, but because it's quite the spoiler, I'm not going to speak about that in this video. I will say though that if you have seen this news, then I think it's a really interesting casting, but one which is definitely inspired by some of the actors' previous work. It's interesting that Matt Reeves has cast both Pattinson and Keoghan based on their smaller indie roles, knowing that they are two actors who can bring great performances whether the film is smaller or high budget. We obviously need to see more on the approach that is being linked to Keoghan's character first though, but based on reactions, it seems like it's more of a tease that was shown leading into a potential second film. Again, I'm not going to go into this because it's quite a big spoiler, but if you do want to know what the spoiler actually is, then I would recommend looking online because there are plenty of sources covering it. But with that out of the way, what other things were mentioned in the latest test screening reactions, and what do those who have seen the film think? Well, some of the main points addressed were that the movie apparently has a running time of around 2 hours 45 to 2 hours 50 minutes, which is honestly one that we expected. The previous test screenings reported that the film was around 3 hours long, and as we know from the history of big films like this, the filmmaker and studio tend to edit it down based on the reaction the film gets early on. So we will probably be looking at a film that comes in around the 2 hour 30 mark or a bit more once they've found the right sweet spot. At the end of the day, running time only matters based on the quality of the film within that, so until we see it, we can't really judge whether it's too long or not. But it does tell us that we are definitely getting a lot of Robert Pattinson's Batman and all the other exciting elements on display that were in those trailers. Speaking of other exciting elements that were discussed, Zoë Kravitz apparently portrays Catwoman perfectly, and Paul Dano's Riddler is one of the standouts of the film, having multiple victims and being described as ghoulish. Paul Dano is one of my most anticipated aspects of this upcoming film, so this is quite great to hear if it's true. I'm hoping they have kept to that Zodiac-inspired take that was present in the early footage and descriptions, which it does seem so based on these new reactions. They also say that Robert Pattinson's Batman is as brutal as we expected, alongside giving us a deeper insight into his and Alfred's close relationship, describing Alfred as having a paternal one with Bruce Wayne. They further praise his dark performance, linking to the violent and serious tone that is quite obviously the focus. But the most interesting point towards his character is actually the reactions posted claiming that his fight scenes are indeed brutal, but that the Batman does not kill or use weapons. Now, while this same person said that they make this clear in the film during a scene with Commissioner Gordon and Batman, it's unclear how this extends beyond that. I quite honestly like both Affleck's portrayal and the other portrayals of the character regarding Batman killing, and Affleck's version was a lot older and in a different situation than the one we are getting in the Batman 2022, so I think it just depends on the approach that a director wants to take. As long as the character learns from a mistake and becomes the person he is supposed to be, like Affleck did in Batman v Superman and the Snyder Cut, then I don't see the problem in challenging a character to their core. But I also understand that people have different thoughts on this, so I guess the route of the Batman is definitely a safer one in regards to the character killing. Some of the other details to come out of this test screening say that they get the sense that the studio isn't interfering. They say that the 3 different versions screened have all been around that 3-hour length, and the differences only lie in a few scenes. Another viewer said that their only problem was a messy third act, which of course is what these screenings aim to correct, and that the film contains the best Batman moments ever seen on screen. I'm sure that in the upcoming months these problems will be addressed if they are ones that most viewers are seeing, but this was really the only sign of flaws that I saw when this blew up yesterday, so really we'll just have to wait and see on that. Also, the fact that all 3 versions are similar just shows the focused vision that is present and how the film's aim is to make this one of the most complete and full Batman experiences we've ever had on the big screen. Someone did reply to this comment though, saying that they think the film's ending is more comparable to The Dark Knight in that it doesn't end on a big fight like most comic book movies do today. This seems to be more nuanced and focused on the character, ending it at a place that is right for this interpretation of Batman. If this reply is true, then that's along the lines of what I expected and want from this Batman film. Getting the right balance between a character and genre film, along with all the elements you'd expect from a comic book project, is really the perfect package. Think of The Dark Knight in the way it merged the blockbuster film with a neo-noir film. But finishing up with these reactions, the same viewer said that their impression was based on the changes in the new cut of the film, and that Warner Brothers is trying to find the best way of having sequel teases while making the film feel like its own thing. And there are no post-credit scenes. Like I was saying in my video essay the other day, I want the Batman to feel like a complete film on its own. One that doesn't put all its focus into building a universe, but one which of course can be explored in a sequel too. Nolan's films found the perfect balance in capturing this, but I guess with Warner Brothers involved, you never know how something like this could turn out. I think their best comic book films over the last few years have been ones which focus more on the singular storytelling, and the Batman's trailer and everything we've previously heard about the film make me excited about that possibility. Of course, we want a trilogy from this new Batman, but it's all about finding that right mix between building a new world and making the story of this film feel like it's worth it and long-lasting on its own. I think Matt Reeves will pull this off because he did a great job with the Apes movies regarding this very point. But hopefully these test screenings give them the data that they need to make that work. This is, of course, if these reactions are legitimate, but I think with all the screenings having been confirmed, it's only going to benefit the final quality of the Batman. We'll have to see, but all of these new details just make me even more intrigued about the film, and hopefully we'll get at least one more trailer before it releases in a few months' time. But they were some of the details from the test screening of the Batman 2022. Like I said in my video the other day, I honestly haven't been this excited for a comic book movie in a while, and hopefully it lives up to all of the expectations. We'll soon find out this March if The Batman is another great film from Matt Reeves, and whether it stands on its own as a fantastic comic book movie. I do love everything we are hearing from a technical and performance point of view, and there are also things that slightly intrigue me surrounding potential surprises and certain characters. But really, it will only be clear how this all works when we get to see it on the big screen. The running time, casting, and performances only matter in regards to the approach and quality of the film, so it being 3 hours long, for instance, all depends on the story being told. I'm sure it's the right runtime for this particular film, but again, we will only know when we see it. But I'm interested to hear what you guys think towards the smaller details that have come out from test screenings, alongside what you would like to see from Matt Reeves with his adaptation of The Caped Crusader. So let me know down below in the comment section. For more videos surrounding the Batman leading up to its release next year, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.